issues related to making the product. What are some things which have to be looked at seriously by entrepreneurs? So I would put a few questions to myself as a medtech entrepreneur. How will my product remain competitive over the product life cycle? If your product life cycle is 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, you have made a beautiful product today. But will it remain competitive for the total product life cycle or not? If it is not, yours will be a 1-year success story and you will not be able to scale. So you have to think right up front how to get competitiveness over the product life cycle, not just when you launch the product. Second, how do you launch the next generation product? Okay, you're successful, you made some impact, you got established, but if at the end of 3 or 5 or 7 years, if you do not have the next generation product, you're gone. Again, you're a one-trick pony. You're not a sustainable business. So you have to look at how you can launch the next generation product when this goes obsolete. Third, if you're an institution builder, you should look at, even if I am successful for 2 generations, how will this enterprise sustain beyond in the third cycle? And some of the tricks of the trade to make this happen, I will give you, is that the first thing I told you is over the product life cycle. Over the product life cycle, you should have the ability to reduce the product cost at least 10% per year every year. If you cannot, then you are in trouble. So when we did local manufacture of CT, ultrasound, etc., we had to think of how to build this. And so we had to recruit the best value engineering engineers who know how to reduce the product cost not only inside the house but in the entire supply chain, so that as the competitive pressure builds up over the product life cycle, we are more and more competitive in our cost position. And if you don't have this competency, it's tough. How do you develop the next generation product? You have to absorb the core technology of that product. If you are just a screwdriver technology house which has got the technology by assembling from 5-6 sources, you will not be able to produce the next generation technology. So for that you need to get on top of the core technology on which your product is based. And if you want to look beyond 2 generations, then you should get into a place like IISc, because you should understand the theory of the product. For example, what's a PET scanner? What does it do? How is the technology used? What's an MRI scanner? What is superconducting magnet? What are the variables for tomorrow? And try to do things right from the knowledge centers who are working on this type of questions and finding answers. So building a sustainable product organization is not coming up with just one great product. It is thinking beyond the product. Now, this may or may not be completely relevant to the startup companies, but I want to talk about technology transfer. See, you can't develop all the technology you want all the time in-house, and so you have to buy a licensed technology to use in your product. So when we had planned to build the technology, build the CT scanners and ultrasound in India back in 1990, the technology transfer model which was prevalent, whether it is Maruti Suzuki or Mahindra's or Tata's or Government of India, was that you pay a technology transfer fee, you get designs and drawings, you get SOPs, how to make it, and you get test protocols, how to test the product. So you take all this, develop local suppliers, bring down the cost, and at the end of that cycle, you basically have testing competency, so manufacturing competency, and their intents, and maybe some supplier development competency. Now you want the next generation product, again you go and buy technology. I don't know whether any of you have heard on Indiresan. Indiresan was director of IIT Madras. The reputation of IIT Madras today is built on the work he did in the 70s and 60s. Now Indiresan wrote about our approach versus Maruti Suzuki approach. He was in a think tank called Center for Policy Research in Delhi, and he was no longer director of IIT. So he said, the Wiproji is trying to do a product with a soul, with an Indian soul. And what he meant by that was that we were not following this model by model import technology and indigenize and do it and sustain in the business. We were looking at the beginning that can we get core technology from, and we were getting this scanner technology transfer from Japan, GE Japan. So the core technology of a CT scanner, for example, lies in the tube, X-ray tube, which produces the X-ray. It lies in the detector, which after the X-ray passes through the human body, picks up the signals. It lies in the algorithms, which reconstruct that output into images. And the fourth element is the display, on which it is displayed without any artifacts or whatever it is. So you get the best clinical information. Now, when we asked Japan to give us all this technology, they laughed at us and said that the tube technology, the detector technology, the probe technology is all in US. And GE USA has not even given us. So how can we give you? So we asked them, okay, what do you have to give us some technology? They said, we have got display technology, we can give you that. So we said, okay, bad luck for us. So let us at least take this display technology and run. Then when we started talking to them, they told that display technology is not with us. It is with our supplier. One supplier called Geo Musen. He has the display technology and we just buy from them. Now we are so disappointed. What is it? We are getting into a product and we don't have any technological element knowledge. We are just assemblers. We are just people reducing the cost of the equipment. So we said, okay, let us go to Geo Musen. We called them, you please come to India at our cost. Because, the big companies from Japan go abroad, but this supplier companies are very shy to just travel and the like. They came to India, assessed us and said, you will take 4 years to absorb and become mature in display technology. So we cannot give you. It's a waste of time giving to you. So we said, what the hell is this? So then we located one supplier in Bangalore called VXL Monitors. They were making for CAD-CAM machines monitors. So we had to get a marriage between VXL and Geo Musen to make the monitors in India by transfer of technology to them and make sure that VXL understood and had the technology. So all the future products made in India, all monitors are coming from that source and not from any imported source. And we didn't relent on getting the tube and probe and detector technology. So I will tell you in a minute how we got that, but before that, a big issue in customers, in medical customers for scanners was, they loved our imported Japanese GE Japan imported. So when we said we will give you a 20% less and we will do this, that and the other. So they asked two questions. One, is the image quality and clinical quality same as Japan? If it is not same, we would hesitate to buy the Indian product. Second, which is a more difficult question to answer, was that will the reliability of your equipment be same as Japan? Japan made equipment. Not during warranty period, but during 5 years. Will it work as reliable without failure like a Japanese equipment? So, we had to really focus on our technology transfer to make sure that we learned reliability engineering. We learned how to build reliability in the supply chain. It was not just failure mode analysis and latent defect identification and all those steps which, I don't have to talk to engineers in Institute of Science like this, but or stochastic theory to predict reliability and whatnot. But I think, all of you should know here that it's easy to get the SOP book, standard operating procedure to make a product, to design a product, to test a product is easily and beautifully documented by companies. But how to build reliability is what is called in a black book. Black book is never shown to you. This black book comes from domain experience for a decade or more, where people have learned through field failures, people have learned through analysis of each failure which happened for so many years in their installed base, and then they have come to the conclusion that if we do this, we can predict that the failure will not happen. Now, there is no way to tell whether the Japanese counterparts are giving us the black book knowledge or not. So we had got our product cost down by 20%. So we persuaded our GE boss that the product we were making for the Indian market, and Japan was making the same product for the global market and Japanese market. So we persuaded GE that can Japan in the production use India parts? Now, when they used India parts, they had to make sure that their reputation was not damaged. So everything in that black book, they had to come and test and make sure that the India parts which they were importing and putting in their product and putting the Japan stamp had the same reliability as the Japan product. Now, again, what I am saying is innovation is not just in product. This is an innovation in business model. So when you work with technology, when you work with these things, you have to think all the time on your feet as to what makes you successful, and to get there what you need to do. And as I told you, most of the time it is not in the product, it is outside the product. So, Murali, have I used up my time? You have a few more minutes? 10 minutes? Sure. Okay. So I think of reliability as a very, very key factor in medical equipment. Now, the next generation product, when we had to design an ultrasound for the Indian customer at a price point which will expand affordability and accessibility further. Now, at that time, I had already got promoted and I had become head of technology in Asia, in Japan. I was also head of quality. Perhaps I was the first Indian to head in a Japanese company quality, because in 1990 the image of India as a quality producer was not that great. But anyway, so in the technology strategy, in the technology position I had, I was on the board of GE Japan, I was on the board of GE Korea, I was on the board of GE China and GE India. And I had to make a choice. See, they came up with a technology strategy, the total GE in medical. The premium products will be made in US, value products, that is products which are mid-range, will be made in Japan, and economy products will be made in Asia, either in China, India or Korea. Now, in my position as head of technology, it was very clear to me that Korea had the best backing of Samsung and had the best capability to do the economy product. So, Korea got the economy product. But in the final meeting, I argued that the price point of the economy product which Korea is making is for Korean and Chinese market, which is still a little higher price point is what is required there. In India, we require a still lower price point. So they made an exception and called it the super economy and said that we'll create a super economy segment which India can own and design. But we will not give you any budget, because all our budget is exhausted. We have given it to all the products. So if out of India profits, you can fund that super economy ultrasound, you can go ahead and we'll give you global support. So India took the risk and did the product. That was the Logic Alpha 100, which was a runaway success in India. It was also a runaway success in the world. It sold 30,000 units, 1,000 crores was the sales of that small tiny product. And that is how we learned what to do, how to do a second generation product. That is design, third generation product. The competitiveness of India for the customers is not just in product. You can sell an MR, you can sell a CT, you can sell an ultrasound, and the customer is using it over 5-7 years. Now there is a life cycle cost. The life cycle cost of operating that equipment is consumables, service cost, and any other cost which are associated with running that product. So we argued with GE that if you want to be competitive in India, you have to reduce the life cycle cost of operating an MR or a CT or an ultrasound. And for that, you need to make the technological elements in India. But they said that if you cannot make a display, how are you aspiring to make a tube or make a detector or make a probe? So we said we don't have, but let us search for a partner. So the only partner who had that technology was Bharat Electronics. It was a government defense production company, and they had this technology of not at that medical grade but other grades. Like for example, night vision goggles. They had a certain technology. They were making low end X-ray tubes and the like. So we took a lot of trouble on both convincing BL and GE to do a joint venture.